My son gave me this beautiful Bernat blanket, dark blue velvet yarn as a Christmas gift. So I could only think of a beautiful round plush pillow that I want to make with this for myself as, I don't know, Christmas gift based on a Christmas gift. So that's what I'm making today. So in order to do that, I have an 8mm crochet hook, and we're going to have to make 2 rounds to start. So we'll start with making, see if I can zoom out a little bit on that, but worked in the round that is 7 rows around to make that circle, and then we will connect the 2 with a width, and I'm thinking of putting a button in the middle to make it look kind of tufted. So let's get started. For this project, we're going to work in a circle using a magic ring. To do a magic ring, create an X on your 2 fingers and take the tail end and just tuck it behind and hold with your pinky. Then go under that top layer, pull up a loop with the remainder string, yarn over your hook, and pull through that loop. And because we're working in double crochet, we're going to chain 1 to give it the height of a double crochet. So if you carefully turn that, you'll see that you've got your tail and your ring with your stitches coming out of it. And I like to hold it tight there just so nothing kind of falls apart as I get started here. So we're going to double crochet 12 into this magic ring, 12 stitches. So yarn over, go right into that magic ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through your first 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, and pull through the last two loops. This yarn is very, there's not much give to it. So you'll want to keep your stitches loose enough that you're not going to get caught up with not being able to get your hook through. So that's just 1 stitch. The chain 2 does not count. So yarn over into the magic ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches, yarn over, pull through 2 stitches. And just continue around working in that magic ring until you have 12 double crochet stitches in the round. Does not include your first chain 2. This is be my 4th, and I will continue on and meet you back at the end of this round. If you get to the point where you've done 8 or so like I have and you're running out of this little tail, don't be afraid to just give it a little tug. It's really hard to pull this yarn through the ring also, and it does break, so be careful with that, but gently pull it through. It'll shrink your ring, so don't shrink it too much, but that way you can keep going and working around that tail so it goes all the way through. So when you get to the end, I'm just going to double check that I've got 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 stitches. You want to slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. So you have this chain here and you're looking for this top stitch. Sometimes you can see there's a V. It's hard with this yarn, but it's that stitch right there. And you want to just pop your hook in there, pull the loop through, and pull the loop through that last stitch, and then just snug your tail closed on the magic ring so you get a nice flat perfect circle. So for round 2, we're going to increase in every single stitch. So we chain 2 just to get the height. That does not count as a stitch. And then you're going to double crochet 2 in the top of every one of these 12 stitches. So we do 2 stitches in that very first one, and continue with 2 double crochets in every stitch around until you get back to the beginning. So you should have 24 double crochets when you're finished this round. When you get to the end of row 2, you should have 24 stitches around. And when you get to the end, again, you want to slip stitch into the top of the very first stitch to connect the round. And for row 3, we're going to increase every second stitch. So the first stitch into here, we will do 2 double crochets into there, 1 into the next stitch, 2 into the following, 1 into the following, 2, and continue all the way around. Every second stitch around will have 2, 1, 2, 1. So to start, chain 2, that gets the height of the double crochet stitch, and 2 double crochets into that first stitch of the round. That's 1, and that's 2 into the same stitch. Okay, and then 1 double crochet into that next stitch, and then 2 double crochets into this stitch. This would be the 3rd stitch, and 1 double crochet into the 4th stitch, and continue until you've made it all the way around. And if you've done it correctly, by the time you get to the end, because we started with 2 here, your last stitch will theoretically be 1 double crochet. So I will meet you back at the end of this round. Okay, so we're here at the end of row 3. I've just finished my last double crochet in my last stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of the first one, if I can get my hook through there, to connect that round. Okay, so for round 4, it's already looking so beautiful. So for round 4, so we just did a double in every second stitch. We're now going to do a double in every 3rd stitch. But what happens when we're working in the round is if we always do our double as the first and continue on, then we get this almost hexagon shape every time we do that double. You wouldn't notice it at this point, but if we continue doing it that way, we end up with these points because we're doubling at the same interval every time. And in order to avoid that, what I do is I alternate from starting my first stitch with a double or doing my last stitch of that round in a double. So because we did the first stitch last time, we're going to do a single double crochet in the first stitch, actually in the first 2, because we're now working in the 3rd. So in the 3rd, we will do 2. We will do our increase. So chain 2 to get the height of the double crochet. That doesn't count as a stitch. Double crochet just 1 into the first stitch. Double crochet just 1 into the second stitch. And then into the 3rd, we're going to increase and we're going to do 2 double crochets into the 3rd stitch. Okay, and we're going to continue that around. So again, we're going to do a single double crochet into that stitch. We're going to do a single double crochet into the next stitch, and then in the 3rd stitch we're going to increase with 2 double crochets, 1 and 2 into that same stitch. So continue around doing single, single, double, or they're all double crochets, but 1, 1, and then 2. 1, 1, and then 2 in each stitch all the way around. So we're coming up to the end of this row, and what I've just got here is I finished my last increase here with 2. I've done 1 in this stitch, 1 in this stitch, and you'll see this is my last stitch of the round, which is going to have 2. So I'll do 2 in there, and then we will slip stitch to complete this round right into that stitch there. And then we will chain 2 to start our next one. So for the next round, we're now going to go, so we did 2 in every third stitch. We're now going to do 2 in every fourth stitch. And again, we don't want them to line up, so we're actually going to start this round again with our 2, then do 1, 2, 3, and then do 2 more in the fourth, and continue around that way. So in the very first stitch, we will increase 2 double crochet stitches, and then continue going 2 in every fourth stitch. So we'll do a single double crochet into that stitch, so that's 1 and 2 and 3, and then in this fourth stitch we'll do 1 double crochet and a second double crochet. So continue around doing 2 double crochets in every fourth stitch around, and then I'll meet you back at the end of this round. So here I am coming to the end of this round, and if you remember, we started this round with 2 stitches in the very first stitch. Now I've just done 2 into this stitch, and I actually have exactly 3 singles left to do to meet up with this round. So everything is working out how it should be, with the perfect number of stitches in each round. So going into the next round, as we did every fourth stitch in this one, we're going to do every fifth stitch in the next round. So we'll chain 2 to start the next round, okay? And if you recall, we did 2 in our first stitch in the last round, so we're not going to do 2 to start this round, so that we don't get that hexagon shape. We get this nice circle without any points along the way. So we'll start with 1 stitch in the first, or 1 double crochet in the first, 1 double crochet in the second stitch, 1 double crochet in the third stitch, 1 double crochet in the fourth stitch, and then in the fifth stitch we will do 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2, and continue in that pattern around. So 1, 2, 3, 4 single in each stitch, and 2 in the fifth. So every fifth stitch you do 2 double crochets in all the way around. Okay, you all, this is going to be our last round. So we have done, I guess, 6 rows. So this will be our last round. This will be our 7th row. And exactly how we've been doing before, we just did increase on every 5th stitch. We're now doing an increase on every 6th stitch. And if you recall, we did not start on the first stitch in the last row. So in this row, we will start and we'll do a double on the first stitch, then we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 into the 7th. So we chain 2, and we start with 2 double crochets. Oopsies, and I lost mine. Let's try that again. 2 double crochets into stitch 1. And then we can get started on our pattern of 6. So 1 into this stitch, 2, that's stitch 2, stitch 3, these are all just getting 1 double crochet in them, stitch 4, stitch 5, and then in stitch 6 we're going to do 1 and a second stitch, our second double crochet in that same stitch, and then we start counting again. So we do 1 single double crochet into the next stitch, so that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and in the 6th stitch we're going to do 2 double crochets, and follow that all the way around till the other side, and that will finish the second half of our beautiful velvet pillow. Okay, so I am done my final row. Ideally, if you had all your stitches perfect, you should have 84 stitches around the circle. Okay, and I've already made 2 of these. So if you have only made one, you need to go back and make a second exactly the same. One will be the front and one will be the back. We're going to do a piece that essentially goes between the 2 circles all the way around so that it, is a pillow. It's thick. So we're basically going to crochet a long panel that goes around this whole circle. Then we'll fill it and we'll add a button to the middle to tuft it. And the reason I am doing a independent panel between these is because I want to actually single crochet that panel onto both sides, which will give it this ridge all the way around, which you'll see as we get to that point. If you didn't want to do that and you wanted to continue around one of the rounds, you could continue row 8, 9, 10, 11, however thick you want it, just no increases. Continue with the 84 stitches all the way around, and you would end up with the, it would essentially grow up this way, and you could then attach your second side. But I'm going to do it with a panel so we get that nice ridge when we connect the 2. So to do that, I'm actually going to chain 84 stitches, and then I think I'm going to work single crochets around in a circle to create that skinny panel. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 84, and then I'll pop back on with instructions on creating that circle and how to also continue on until we have that panel as wide as we desire it. Okay, so go ahead, chain 84 and meet me back here. Okay, so once you have your chain of 84, you're going to want to straighten this out as best you can, because in order to work in a circle, you don't want it to be twisted. So one way you can tell if you're twisted is when you go to connect, the yarn on your current one is on the bottom. So you want the yarn on your first stitch to also be on the bottom. But you definitely don't want to be twisted, so make sure you're flat all the way around. I'm just going to actually lay it in a circle here so that I can see that I don't twist. Okay. There we go. So mine is straight all the way around. So I'm going to grab the first stitch and the last stitch, and I'm just going to slip stitch them together. Oh, not with the tail, with the actual yarn would be good. Okay, and then chain 1. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work continuously in this round. So after I come around and I get back to this chain 1 space, I'm not going to slip stitch. I'm going to continue working into the first space and go all the way around. I am going to work in single crochet. I think it'll be a nice tighter finish for the sides of the pillow. So I'm just going to single crochet one stitch in every stitch all the way around. And I will meet you back after I complete this first round. So when you get to the end of this row, and if you end up twisted, like I did, so you can see I'm at the tail side, and I should actually be like this. So I'm going to just flip that chain stitch over. This little bit, it'll get captured when we sew it all together with the pillow, so it won't matter. So instead of slip stitching into this top stitch, which you normally would do when you're working in a round and continue, we're just going to continue on all the way around and just keep going in rounds until it's as thick as we want that panel to be in the middle of the pillow. So I'm going to continue, instead of a slip stitch into the first stitch, I am going to do a single crochet, and then I'm just going to continue single crocheting around and around and around until it's as thick as I want. I'm probably going to do about 4 rows. So go ahead and make your panel as wide as you want. I'm going to do probably 4 rows, and then I'll meet you back here with about that wide, and we'll look at attaching this to the 2 sides, to the 2 rounds of the pillow. Okay, welcome back. So I went ahead and I actually ended up doing 6 rows to get this width that I want, and actually I'm running low on this yarn, so this big ball of yarn will give me 1 pillow. So what we're going to do is we're going to connect our first round. Okay, so we're going to line up this and this. Right, let's get my yarn untangled. And I'm just going to single crochet a border all the way around, so it's going to provide a bit of a ridge between this panel and our front panel. So into my first stitch on this, and into my first stitch on this, and I'm going to hold this tail inside my stitches, and it'll just tuck in, for lack of a better word. So a single crochet in each stitch around both pieces. I'll just do a few here for you to see the look that we're going to get. Just feeling as I go through this stitch is easy for me to find. The one on the back is a little harder, but if you just feel with your finger where your last one went, it's easy to jump over into the next one, just to make sure you don't do 2 in the same stitch. Okay, so get a kind of a better look at what that's going to look like. Here's your front panel, and then here's your ridge along the edge. So that's the look that I was going for, and the reason for doing this as a separate panel. So just continue single crocheting all the way around until you get to the other side. And when you get back around to the end of your circle, just slip stitch into that very first stitch that you made to connect the final round. There is my pillow with its little edge all the way around. So the next step, obviously I need to cut this yarn off, and then grab this other round. Again, find the side that you want to face out. Okay, and the side facing out is going to connect to this side of your border. Okay, and remember not to go all the way around on this until we stuff the pillow. But I'm going to start right where this tail is of the original, and this side's a little bit trickier because you're working into that foundation chain. But again, do the same thing, just single crochet all the way around, and leave a gap at the end just to stuff it, and then we'll close it up. Okay, so I am back, and I have stopped with about 8 or so stitches left, and I have stuffed my pillow with just some regular pillow stuffing. You can see this beautiful edge that we've created. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to finish closing this off, right? And then I'll tie in my last 2 ends from there and there, and then we'll add, I've got these dark blue little buttons, and we'll add that in the middle. We'll just attach it to both sides to give it that tufted look. So I've got these little blue buttons, and I've got this embroidery floss that fairly closely matches in color. So I'll just finish this part up, and I'll tie this back in, and then we'll come back together and we'll do the button. Okay, everyone, we are back and our pillow is looking so beautiful. So to add our final details, we're going to add these little buttons. So get your embroidery floss and a tapestry needle or a small needle, and you're going to want to tie it onto either the magic ring or one of these stitches. So I'm just going to tie a knot, and again this tail from here, you'll want to weave that in when you're done. Just plunk it right into the middle of the pillow, nice and easy. So I'm going to tie a knot onto there, and I'm going to add my button. You could do it with a bead, doesn't have to be a button, but and then we want to go right through the middle of our pillow. Sorry, I had a bit of a technical issue here, so my video stopped. I've already poked my thread through to the other side, came out the middle, and I've added my second button. And so I'm just going to loop back through this second button. And you kind of want to pull it tight because you want to get that nice pinched look, right? You don't want it to be flat. You want the tuft to go in. So I'm going to pull that a bit tighter if I can. Okay, and then, hold it tight because you have to do a knot on this side as well. So you need to get through one of these pieces of thread from your crochet. And to tie a knot with thread, just as you make this loop, hold that, and then you loop your needle right through, and when you pull that snug, it'll make a knot for you, and then you can go back around, same one, same spot, or attempt to do the same spot, and again it will make a little tangle in here, make you a loop, go through there and pull tight, and there you go. And so you don't even really need to cut this, you can just poke it through here. Well, I guess I need to cut it off of my needle because mine's still attached, but cut it off, pop it through. Oh, I just noticed my button is going through the hole. There you go. Oh, I'm gonna play with this off camera just to get it a little straighter. It wants to go to one side, but there you go. There's your pillow. I'll pop that thread in there, and it's perfect. Thanks for watching.